And now, ladies and gentlemen,
please fasten your seatbelts.
Welcome to PreneurCast.
Business cards being swapped, beers being drunk.
Can I say a nasty word? Can I say procrastination?
With Pete Williams and Dom Kocher.
How well did that go down?
We can talk about that entire thing in a very another rant and soapbox episode if we want to.
Visit us online at preneurmedia.tv.
Hi, Dom here, and this week we've got another great interview for you. This week, Pete talks to Dale Beaumont, who is one of Australia's leading business advisors, and he runs a business education program called Business Blueprint, as well as having written a huge number of books on various business and marketing subjects. In this conversation, Dale shares some fantastic tips for raising your profile, including ideas for getting killer testimonials and even book deals. So, have your notepads and pens ready, and I'll hand you over to Pete.
Hey mate, thank you for joining me on the show this week. How you doing?
Yeah, doing great, thanks. And you?
Good mate, doing very well as always. Now, I was trying to do the math before we jumped on the call today. I reckon it's got to be 7 years we've known each other for. I reckon.
Yeah, for sure.
When the first books came out, and I remember we were on the same cover of Wealth Creator magazine. You had your photo on there, but my name was on there as well. So that's sort of a while ago as well. But rather than me kind of sitting here and kind of just talking you up and things like that, I always like to make people feel awkward and having to talk themselves up. So I'm trying to give a bit of your background and what you're doing now and about all the books you've written and things like that, mate.
Sure. Well, my major passions in life is family, business, and and education. So I've been involved in a number of businesses over the past kind of 12 years. First one was running seminars for teenagers, teaching things like goal setting and leadership and communication skills and money management. So that was fun, educating some 27,000 teenagers across 6 countries. And then next kind of major venture was a PR company that I started called Kapow Media. Yep. And next one after that was a publishing company where I produced a whole series of books called the Secrets Exposed series to take people up close and personal with high achievers. And that was a great success with 15 books that we published and sold over 250,000 copies.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Which was great, and that was really the launch pad for some other little seminar projects that I did for a couple of years. But my core and sort of sole focus now is a business education program called Business Blueprint, which is where we work with entrepreneurs over a 12-month period to transform the way that they do business by integrating technology and more modern and smarter forms of marketing into their business. And so we run events right across Australia and New Zealand and work with a whole bunch of clients right now, just nearing 300 or so. And I love what we do. And outside of that, got married with 2 kids and love to travel. So I've been to heaps of different places and love mixing business and pleasure.
It's very cool. Well, I actually spoke at one of your events recently, one of your sort of high-end client events, which was such a great 3 days. And talking about the family and travelling, you were sort of talking about one of your events next year is going to be on a cruise boat around Europe, which is just so friggin' awesome.
Yeah, we're going to have about 150 entrepreneurs leaving from Venice on the 22nd of May and going all around the Adriatic Sea and finishing in Rome, and then we're doing some other stuff from there. So I love. It's all good to make money, and certainly that's a major goal and focus in business because money's like oxygen.
Absolutely. But you got to put me down to 2014, mate. I think a 4-month-old baby won't do so great going to Europe on vacation, but definitely 2014.
Fantastic. I'd love to.
One thing, before we get into the topic of today's show, I've got a question for you about those Secrets Exposed books. Which one was your favourite out of them all? Because they're sort of secrets of male entrepreneurs, secrets of sales people, secret of online marketers. It's all different sort of niches, I guess, that you've covered. What's your favourite one of those books?
Wow, no one's ever asked me that question. There's one because they're all kind of special to me in different ways. I love the 2 of the most special ones is one's Male Entrepreneurs, just simply because that was the first book that I produced, and so many of those people that were in the book were people that I looked up to as kind of like role models, and they were of great inspiration to me. And the other book that I also love producing was Secrets of Marketing Experts Exposed, because you can have the greatest product in the world, but unless you're able to market it and promote it, you're never going to build a successful business.
So true.
remember maths at school, and I remember my 0 times tables. They were really simple. You could have 100 and you times it by 0, and the answer is always 0.
Very cool, man. And that's, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think people who listen to the show know that you and I have very, very similar philosophies when it comes to business, in that, it's not about the mousetrap, it's about the marketing of the mousetrap.
Exactly right.
And I guess that's kind of a perfect sort of, segue into sort of what we're going to cover today, because I know, you do your new rules of business events, which we'll talk about a bit later, and obviously talk about a whole bunch of stuff with your clients in the high-end sort of programs that you have. But what's the one thing that you think is best to discuss today? Because we could do this weekly almost and still have a 12-month worth of content that you and I could talk about. But what's the key thing do you think is worth touching on today?
Well, I think it's in a broad sense, marketing. In a more specific sense, what I want to talk about, this idea about building your profile to generate awareness about what you're doing, but also at the same time as well to establish credibility. Yeah. Because someone's looking for a landscaper, someone is looking for any type of service or product, they're basically asking themselves this question, who is this person and why should I buy from them as opposed to the other 10, 50, 100 other people in this space? Say you were looking for a life coach. What makes you, worthy of spending money on as opposed to somebody else? And so we're talking about really building your profile to becoming the leader in your particular field. And you can do that in a number of different ways. So we'd like to touch on 10 different things that you can in order to build your profile. And what it's about is not just doing just one of them, but as many as you can. The more things that you do, it just gives people that reassurance to go, I'm making a good decision because of all of these factors. And so it's about this will help you from two aspects. One is about increasing your awareness and exposure, but also increasing your conversion as well. So we're talking about making it easier for people to buy from you.
Cool. Because I think it's really important that, I say quite a bit to try and sell in a vacuum, and it's a statement that a lot of people talk about, where you try and actually, get away from your competitors. So when you're selling, they don't think about competition, that you're the only person fulfilling that need. And that's sort of, I guess, where you want to get to in your marketing. But for so many people out there, that's not where they are right now. They're in a competitive field, and they're working towards positioning themselves. It's an apples and orange comparison. They are different. But there's certain times that if you're advertising the Yellow Pages, which still works if you do it right, people are sort of saying Yellow Pages is crap and stuff like that, but it does still work if you're doing AdWords or a lot of marketing. There's still a lot of noise from your competition at that point of contact with your client. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, there is a lot of noise out of there. Yeah, so it's going from just a pack and becoming what I'd say one of one, rather than being most people in an industry of one of 10, one of 50, one of 100. You want to be, the only choice, the only obvious choice, because it's just that, there's so many factors there that basically increase people's desire to want to work with you, and also minimize their risk as well.
Exactly.
Doing these things that we'll talk about will help to achieve both of those objectives.
Yeah, exactly right. It helps you sort of just, cut through the noise of your competition when you are in that space, but more importantly, it helps starting to even push you further to that position of one, as you said. So let's reel off those 10, mate, and we can kind of delve into them and talk around them if you like.
Okay, well, these are in no particular order. I'll just kind of throw them all out there. One is generating exposure through the media. I'd love to talk more about that, and I know that you've got a huge amount of experience in that area as well. Participating in social media, we can expand on that.
Yeah.
Great video content, and we'll talk about why video is so powerful. Building a great website, and that kind of involves making sure that you can actually be found in the search engine. So you've got a website that not only do you have one, but you've got a website that can be found. Number 5 is about having great testimonials. Number 6 is about building a smartphone or an iPhone app. Number 7 is about publishing either a book or an ebook or a magazine. Number 8 is about getting involved in public speaking and becoming a speaker. Number 9 is about submitting to awards and ideally winning or becoming a finalist in some awards as well. And number 10 is really about keeping in touch, and you probably need to have a good kind of email marketing system, something where you can build a relationship over time and stay top of mind. because, like you said, there is a lot of noise out there, and we want to make sure that we are constantly, staying in touch with our competitors so they know that we are still there and we're able to help them whenever they're ready.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to throw some of these back at you because there's a couple of things you said there that I'd really like to discuss because there's stuff we haven't spoken about on the podcast before, and things like, testimonials is probably a great one that I'd love to kind of delve into first. And if we've got time, we'll go through all 10, but let's at least touch on some of the top 3 or 4 things that I think I'd really like to get out from you, from your experience. And testimonials is one of those things. So what's your experience, thoughts, advice, case studies when it comes to testimonials to get that leadership positioning?
Okay. So testimonials just make such a big difference to how you're perceived in the marketplace. Anybody can say that they're great, they're wonderful, but they're fantastic. But naturally, when it comes from you, people are skeptical. Of course, you're going to say you're great, you're wonderful, but who else says that about you? And if there's nobody, then that's kind of saying something. So, as an example, you can go to one of my websites. rulesofbusiness.com.au. That's a long sales page to promote an event that I run. But down the right-hand side, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of testimonials. So, and they, when we put those there, dramatically the conversion rate of the website. Without the testimonials, people are like, well, kind of who is this guy and what makes him think that he's all that special? But the moment that those testimonials are there, people are like, oh, that person is saying this. Oh, that person made 100 grand. That person's done this. Instantly boosted the conversion rate of a website because it's what's called social proof, or it's
exactly. Well, let me ask you about this. Like, when it comes to testimonials, what's your experience? Because there's so many different ways you can have testimonials presented, and there's some of the obvious stuff in terms of ideally have a photo of the person who's giving the testimonial and name them by their full name and location. But there's testimonials, and then there's testimonials in terms of the actual content of them. Do you have a formula or an idea or a preferred way of actually having that testimonial actually presented?
Absolutely. So I'll give you the exact formula what to follow. So you're right in the basics terms, make sure you have the person's full name. Initials, just people are skeptical. They're like, well, if there's a real testimonial, someone will be prepared to put their name to it. So only use testimonials where you have the person's full name and ideally photo as well. Now let's talk about how to actually get a great testimonial, because there is a formula. If you just say to someone, give me a testimonial, you might get something like, Pete Williams is great, he's a really good guy, he has good and he can really help, but it's kind of like, sort of so what? It doesn't really stand out. So we have this basically formula. So what happens is after someone has experienced your product or service, you're going to send them an email and you're going to go, hi John, it's Dale here. By now you've hopefully had a chance to use my product and I'd love to get some feedback. Would you mind just answering these 4 simple questions? It'll really help a lot. Thanks so much, and I look forward to your response. So there's 2 tips there. Number 1 is never ask for a testimonial. When you ask for a testimonial, people go, ooh, they get all weird about it, and they don't know what to say, and they think that you want something kind of, different. Ask for feedback. So call it feedback. That way people will be more kind of, they'll feel more comfortable about it. Secondly, don't ask them to write something because they won't know what to write. Ask them to answer 4 simple questions. They answer the questions, and that is the testimonial. We just need to then remove the questions, and we basically mush it together into one chunk of text. So if you're happy, I'll give you the 4 questions.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think before you do that, that's something that I really love that idea is don't ask for testimonials. Get them to ask for questions, because I've found that, when I have ever asked for testimonials in various businesses and projects and things like that, if they really did enjoy the process, the product, the solution, whatever it was that you gave that person, they're so eager to help you out that they are so eager to help you with a testimonial, they go over the top. And it becomes cheesy and wanky and just looks even less authentic and less real because they were so excited and wanted to give you so much. So I think you actually it's a positive constraint on both ends. You sort of, by not asking for a testimonial, the people who really love you won't go over the top trying to impress you. They'll just answer your questions. And the people at the other end of the scale who are reluctant to give you a testimonial because they feel shy or don't know what to say or whatever it might be, will help you out because they'll just answer the question. So it's a great way to actually sort of top and tail that and give it a very positive constraint, which I thought was awesome.
Exactly right. So let's go through and I'll give you the 4 questions. And so this is the time to sort of scribble some notes. So question 1 one is, why were you unsure or even skeptical about insert XYZ product, insert the name of your product or service there? Why were you unsure? Why were you skeptical? What was it that was just kind of holding you back? So that's the first question. Why were you unsure or skeptical about XYZ product? Now, question number 2 is, what ultimately made you decide to buy, XYZ product? What ultimately made you decide to buy? What was it? What was that turning point where you really want to kind of know what it is? The third one is, what specific benefits have you received since using XYZ product or service? What specific benefits? The key there is specific benefits. And number 4 is, who would you recommend my product or service to and why? Okay, they are the 4 questions. Okay, now if you ask these questions, you'll get because I'll give you, an okay testimonial, a great testimonial. And you see this on infomercials all the time. An okay testimonial is, this weight loss program is great, it's wonderful, it's fantastic, amazing. Like what you said before, it's over the top. It hasn't yeah, it's great for you to say that, but I'm still unconvinced. I'm still over here and you're over there, and I'm not coming any closer to you. Versus something like this. I've struggled my entire life, and I've tried almost every weight loss program imaginable, and I finally basically had given up because nothing seemed to work. I maybe lose a few kilos, but I always put it back on. Then a friend told me about XYZ product. I was originally skeptical, but when I saw they had a money back guarantee, I decided to give it a shot. I'm pleased to say that after 6 months, I've lost 25 kilos and I've kept it off for the entire time. And finally, now I can play with my kids without needing to take a nap in the afternoon. Thank you so much. I'd recommend this program to anyone that's serious about losing weight, even if you've been disappointed by other programs that haven't worked. So there we have 2 testimonials, one that was gushing and over the top that didn't influence me at all, and now this one is real, it's genuine, and it's actually what makes people want to buy, because people see themselves in that. They're like, I understand, that person understands. They were skeptical just like me. Yep. Sure, and then they've decided to do it, and they've lost 25 kilos, and they'd recommend it. So what I just did was covered the answers to those 4 questions. So someone will, if you follow that formula, it's called the before and after formula. Or if you went to a Catholic boys' school like me, you would have learned a hymn, which was, I'm not going to sing it, I once was lost, but now am found, which is basically what you're kind of going for, which is, why were you unsure or skeptical? So we meet people where they're at. What ultimately made you decide to buy? When I saw they had a money-back guarantee, when I saw that, I could take a trial, or when I saw that they had won this award. And once you've got 20 of those testimonials like that, you almost cover off every skepticism, you cover off every reason that makes people want to buy, you cover off, number 3 is the specific benefits, all the specific benefits of what people get as far as the outcomes of your product have all been mentioned and covered by other people. And the last one, who are they recommended through and why? When you've got 20 testimonials, it's like it does the selling for you. Mm-hmm. It's features all of your benefits, overcomes all the objections, and it's all disguised in a testimonial, and it kind of connects with people's unconscious. They're not rationally going, this person's selling me here, and this person is promoting this benefit, and this person's selling that. It just absorbed. That's why you can be sitting there watching an infomercial, at 2:00 in the morning, and you're fixated, or you just captivated with testimonial after testimonial after testimonial. They're selling to you, but because it's through personal endorsements, it goes into your subconscious and you just absorb it.
Absolutely. Now just as a practical side of things, I know people are probably sitting there and over-analysing this as well, because, people, I'm sure you've experienced as well, they kind of hear a great tactic like those 4 questions, and I think that's brilliant, and they start over-analysing it without actually implementing it. They start thinking they've got to do crazy surveymonkey.com type questionnaire forms and part of their autoresponder series. Do you just literally have your team just email that out with literally the emails? Hi, Scott. As you said, I just want you to answer a couple of questions for me after you've used the product. Here they are below. Just hit reply and answer them. Is that something as simple as that effective? Simple,
I've literally got 3 or 4 lines of text, explanation text. Can you mind some feedback, blah, 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 and answer these 4 questions. That's it. Then they reply, and then my next email goes like this. Hey, Pete, thanks very much for your feedback. I really, really appreciate it. It was so good. In fact, I'd love to use it on my website. To save you some time, what I've done is I've just removed your questions and I've put together your answer into one block of text. Can you have a read of it and let me know if you're happy with what's been said? And I'd love to be able to use it. Oh, by the way, if you could flick me a photo, I'd love for that way people can see that you're a real person and I made this stuff up, smiley face. Thanks so much. I really look forward to getting your reply, and to say thanks, I'm going to send you out XYZ, or I'm going to give you this discount as my way of saying thanks for helping me out with this great feedback. So that's it. So that's the step 2. And again, nothing fancy, simple reply, just saying, hey, I've taken out the questions, I've put all the stuff, I've put it together. Are you happy with this? We'd love to be able to use it, and can you please send me a photo? And then that's it. As long as you have delivered great value, and I assume you have, 9 out of 10 people will say yes. That's pretty much what I find. There might be 1 out of every 10 that, is part of the Russian mafia and doesn't want to be named.
Absolutely, mate. That's gold. And if people don't literally, pause it right now, go back to this when they get home from their run or their drive, and actually literally swipe and deploy that in the next sort of 2 days, and send an email out, even just to your last 3 clients. Just pick 3 people and send this email out and test it to sort of see how it goes with your business. It's a perfect swipe and deploy formula that I absolutely love. The other thing that I think I'd love to hear from your perspective as well, because I know you've been very successful with this, is the awards side of stuff. It's something that I've implemented quite a bit in my businesses to actually sort of build that credibility up, but I've never really, I guess, outwardly spoken about why I did it. And I thought when you raised that as part of your 10 key things, it's something that sort of jumped out at me and said, okay, we should really delve into this as well. So can you talk about the whole awards side of things?
Absolutely. If you're a business, there are literally dozens and dozens of different awards that are out there that you can submit to. Some of them are just in your kind of local area. Others are going to be, in your city. Others are going to be a state, and others are going to be national, even international. So there's heaps of awards out there. It's free to submit to any of these different awards. Some you just have to put a written proposal together. Some it's just an online form that you want to fill out. And once you become a finalist, if you've done a good proposal that follows, and they will tell you what they want. So it's not that hard. You just give them what they want and make it kind of look nice and fancy and whatever. Then there's a good chance that, it's just like fishing, that if you put enough hooks in the water, eventually one will bite, and you'll get nominated and become like a finalist in one of these awards, which is instant credibility. You can say finalist in My Business Awards, or finalist in Entrepreneur of the Year, whatever it is. And so that alone is great. You don't even have to win. It just is a great
exactly.
But then if you do win, then of course that's even better, and you can take these and you can put these logos on your website, and underneath your name, you can have award-winning, pool designer or whatever it is that your profession is. But again, what it does is it makes people go, oh, I want to work with an award-winning, life coach, or I want to work with a award-winning interior designer, not just any interior designer. So immediately it makes you stand out, differentiates you from all of your competitors, and it minimizes the risk about working with you because it reassures people to say, okay, I'm working with a professional. I'm not working with some, kind of fly-by-nighter, could be in business today but gone tomorrow. If they're an award-winning business and you've got a picture of, you holding the award or just a logo or whatever, makes a big difference to your profile and credibility, and helps people to make easier decisions.
Absolutely. And it's because in the same, I guess, essence of why media and publicity, which I know you talk about as well, is so important, because it basically makes the prospect feel like the due diligence has been done for them. So in terms of, winning an award, it's like, well, you have to have been scrutinised on some level, which is not always the case, but that's the appearance of being an award winner, that you've been scrutinised, and this company wouldn't have given you the award unless you ticked all the boxes. And same with the media. If you're seen in the media, which we've spoken about quite a bit, and you and I have discussed it multiple times about, being positioned in the media as the expert in that space, again, it implies that reporter has done their due diligence, scoured the globe for the best person to talk about this particular topic or article, and they've chosen you. So you must be the best in that space. And it's just that implied due diligence has been done, which means me, the prospect, don't have to do that, don't have to do shopping around, fact checking. You must be the person to go to.
Exactly right.
So in terms of the other sort of things, I guess, media exposure is something that we both share a love of. But, I really want to, I guess, finish up with the publishing side of stuff, because that's where, you and I first met, and I think where you got your biggest exposure was from publishing so many books. So, what's your take on that? Because I know a lot of your clients in some very strange niches, not just, how to, and this is the thing I really love about you, Dale, as opposed to a lot of, business consultants and coaches and gurus, whatever the term may be. I hate a lot of the terms, but so many people end up just teaching people how to teach people to make money. Whereas I know a lot of your clients, majority of them are sort of, real world business owners. I think when we were there together speaking at your event, you had an award-winning pool manufacturer was up on stage speaking about some of the stuff that he'd done recently with his business. I think I met some people in the therapy game and a whole range of real world people selling real stuff to other real people, which is really, really cool. So I know a lot of those people have written books, and I think a lot of listeners who are landscape gardeners or, either sort of masseuses or retail store owners would be like, well, hang on, I own a bike store. What's a book got to do with me? And I'd love your take on that, because I think that's something that's very, very powerful that people don't really get the connection or the correlation.
Okay. To sort of reframe what I'm about to say, it's important to understand that no matter what business you're in, everybody to a certain extent is in the information business. Even if you're selling, perfect example, at the moment we've got a swimming pool and we're looking to get solar heating, so that way it'll extend, instead of us be able to swim sort of 3 months of the year, we'll be able to swim sort of 5 months of the year by giving us a couple of months kind of either side of a summer. So right now, we are collecting, even though we're buying a solar system, we are collecting information like, what is the system, how much is it going to cost, what's it going to look like.
How do they work?
All that stuff. How do they work? So we're collecting information. And so someone is basically having to go and, come for an hour and a half. We've got to ask all our questions and they educate. Now, that's kind of a slow process and quite frustrating when we have to basically be squeezing kind of blood out of a stone to try and get the information that we need so we can make an informed decision. If someone had, all I do is really just call these people up and say, can you send me out someone, and they've had to come to our home. But if on their website they had free guide, the 7 things you must know before installing a solar system, guaranteed I would have downloaded it. I would have had a look at it, and I would have been able to do my research and get the information that I need, and instantly it would have differentiated that business from any other business, because the person who educates is the person who makes someone feel empowered. And once someone's made to feel empowered, then it almost takes every other horse out of the race. It's like, I'm only going to buy from someone that is someone that's added value to me and educated.
I'm just going to jump in there really quickly and throw another sort of argument or reason for doing that. And I think from the other side of the coin, you spoke about it from the prospect's perspective about making them feel empowered, which is so, so powerful and a great marketing tip across everything. But I think even from, my business in the telco space, the telecommunications industry selling phone systems, one of the companies I have, is traditionally very much face-to-face selling based. And that's fine, but I think everyone has experienced either as a client or as a salesperson somewhere, the amount of tie kickers that you get who just fact find. They'll waste your sales team staff for a half-hour meeting with no intent to buy, just to actually gather facts. So if you can actually put something in place like information, like the stuff you're talking about here and I'm probably about to share as well, that actually makes it less resource dependent. You actually then have your salespeople going out and only investing their time with pre-qualified, pre-educated buyers or prospects at least that are going to become buyers a lot easier. So from that perspective, you can actually operate a lot more lean by not having to have all these salespeople out there just trying to bend the arm and convince people who are just there to tie kick to actually purchase something. You may as well let content like publishing, like reports or books, do that for you, and then only actually have to spend time dealing with the actual decent people.
Exactly. So there's so many benefits as to why you want to write a book. It's great for building a profile and credibility. It's also a good way to kind of to basically, like you said, to sell and to only then work with pre-qualified people. It's a great way to build your database. It's a great way to get media exposure, because a lot of media, these days, they only want to work with people that have credibility already. And one of the ways to get credibility is to kind of be an author. So it's kind of like it's like the chicken and the egg. You get media exposure without having credibility, and you can't get credibility without having media exposure. But having a book kind of breaks that pattern, and it goes, okay, this guy's at least got some credibility now, and let's interview them for this story. Then you get more exposure, then you get more, and so it's a whole kind of upward spiral. So if you're someone that is in a mainstream kind of category, go into a bookshop, and it could be landscaping, or it could be it could be helping people with their business or cooking, then certainly a physical book could be a really good thing. If you're in a more niche sort of subject, which could be about, I'm just trying to think of something niche, like, installing pools or solar systems, it's probably not going to be a physical book. It's probably going to be like an ebook that someone could download for a website. Still great because it builds credibility and there's no cost of production, and you can just once you want, and it doesn't have to be that long either. With a physical book, kind of got to be around about 70 or 80 pages for it to kind of be bound and to look credible. But with an ebook, it might only be 20 pages long, and it still is an ebook, and you've at least published something. Or another thing that you can do now, thanks to iPads and also computers as well, is to be able to create a digital magazine. That's something you know a lot about and have spoken about before. But basically, get your ideas down. Take the information that's out of your head that you're only kind of telling one-on-one, and then being able to put it out there, and so you can be communicating to thousands of people all at the same time. It's just a really smart thing to do, and a great way. Get on the website to say the publisher of or the author of this particular book. It's another thing to build your credibility and to raise the profile and awareness of your business.
Well, let me ask you one question around the publishing side of stuff, because I know you've got a whole course on how to write a book, and I've seen it, it's fantastic. What's the one tip in that book that you haven't, also that course, that you haven't heard anybody else share when it comes to writing and publishing books?
Wow, what's the one thing that I cover? One of the biggest things is about this idea of being able to pre-sell your books to other companies. I've done this like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, where I basically said, what do you think is easier, to sell one book to 1,000 people? Do you want to buy a book? Do you want to buy a book? Do you want to buy a book? Or to actually sell 1,000 books to one person? Because there's this billion-dollar industry out there, which is called the corporate gifts industry, and where companies spend billions of dollars on T-shirts, hats, squeegee balls, bottle openers, basically crap that for a few days and gets thrown out. But companies, they're not even aware that rather than getting a crappy little item like that they actually can get a book, and it can be given out to their staff as Christmas presents, used in marketing materials, given out at expos and stuff like that as well. So I've done a number of deals where companies or charities or different organizations have bought 5,000 books from me. I give them quite a substantial discount. Instead of $30, I might sell them for $10 a book. Only might cost me $2 to print, so I still make $8. And if they order 5,000, it's $50,000 just from one transaction. And so that's something that not many people sort of know about. To be able to find come up with your strategic partners. And so you could go to somebody, for example, and you could either sell it to them. Like if you're selling solar systems, you could go to somebody that does pool installation, and you can go, look, because they might only cost you $2 to print. After you install this pool, can you give them this gift? And this will make you look good, because they'll think that you're actually giving them something which you are, but that you've paid for it, and it's also a great promotion for my business as well. So you can either sell it to them and say, look, pay me $5 per book just to cover the printing, and then that marketing is free, or even just give it to them. It costs you nothing, and that way a client can get educated. And you can, have thousands and thousands of books out like this, basically a sales army, as opposed to what you mentioned before, which is having to sell one-on-one and be only able to talk to maybe 3 or 4, decent kind of face-to-face appointments per day. You can literally have thousands of people being exposed to your product or service all at the same time, and it does all the hard work for you.
Very cool, man. We have to get you back on the show at some stage to actually walk through that process, because that is a very, very powerful tip.
Oh, I'd love to. It's been great chatting.
So that is, we're sort of at the time of every sort of podcast, we try and keep it around sort of, 40, 45 minutes. So we probably should start wrapping it up. And I know we only covered 3 of those 10 things. We kind of left media exposure and social media, video, apps, public speaking, all kind of on the table for either another episode of the podcast with you one day. But I think you mentioned it before, that newrulesofbusiness.com.au, which is an event you run all around Australia, which I'll let you talk about. But I really highly recommend people come along to that event, because I've spoken at the subsequent events you've run off the back of those tours and things like that, and I have to say it's one of the more powerful rooms I've been in when it comes to seminars in Australia, because it's not pitchy, it's not hypey. I didn't pitch. Other speakers at the private events you guys run don't pitch, and I really do believe it's some very, very powerful stuff. And the 90-day plan stuff that you guys do, which I won't give away too much, but that is one of the best things I've ever seen at a business event. So very, very cool. But do you want to sort of give everyone a bit more of an overview about the New Rules of Business events as a starting point anyway?
Sure, and I'm aware that people might be listening to this from all around the world, and so if you're just interested in me generally, you can go to my personal website, dalebeaumont.com. It's just a bit of information about me, and also you can access some of the books that I've published as well. But if you're in Australia or New Zealand, I'd really strongly recommend you come along to one of my free business seminars. I run these a couple of times a year in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Perth, Adelaide, and Auckland. And basically, I'm on a mission to try and help as many business owners as I can to transform the way that they do business and integrate technology so they can build a business that gives them the life that they want, and not a business that sucks the life out of them, which is what many people have right now. And so I give away heaps of content. We talk about video marketing and social media and creating systems, and we talk about outsourcing and heaps of other content, all based on building a business for the future and not the past. And so if you want to find out more, the website's newrulesofbusiness.com.au. That's newrulesofbusiness.com.au. And if you make it, come up and say hi and tell me you first heard about me through their podcast. That would be great to be able to connect with you that way, and and for you to be empowered with some great content for free, of course, and I'm sure you really enjoy it. So
definitely. So if you do get along, make sure you pester Dale and let him know to come back on the podcast one day to share some more stuff. But definitely take a pen and paper, because there's some amazing stuff shared. Stuff like some really cool stuff about this Chicago real estate agent, and I think the other thing is 3 words that help you rise to number 1 in your industry, and a whole bunch of other really cool stuff. So newrulesofbusiness.com.au. And the really cool thing is that you run these multiple times throughout the year. So even if you're sort of listening to one of the archive or back catalogue episodes of the show, hit the website up, because there'll be no doubt dates in probably the next 3 months. Is that sort of the cycle of the tours?
Yeah, exactly. It's normally every sort of I go to each of the cities 4 times a year, so it's normally every 3 months. I go to Adelaide and Auckland twice a year. So, but yeah, I'm around, and it'd be great to for you to come along.
Awesome, buddy. So, mate, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been good to know you over these 7 or 8 years or so now. It's been really cool, and mate, very proud of what you're doing, and honoured to get you on the show. So, thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Peter, and it's great to see what you've done as well. And it's funny where we started as little baby entrepreneurs.
Exactly, taking over Australia,
one step at a time. So, thanks a lot.
You've been enjoying another fine episode of PreneurCast with Pete Williams and Dom Gocher. Make sure to hang out with the boys online at preneurmedia.tv or drop them a line via PreneurCast@preneurgroup.com.